It is time to talk business thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. Could the next governor of our Reserve Bank be a Canadian import? BusinessDesk Garth Bray with me this morning. Garth, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So the official line from the Reserve Bank is no comment on who's replacing Adrian Orr yet, but there is some speculation that they might be Canadian.
Yeah, this is really our founding editor, Patrick Smelly's been sort of doing the rounds of Wellington and looking at it because, as you say, the process is pretty opaque. Basically, they're saying, I think, May to June that they were taking expressions of interest, and they're doing some meetings in July and August to firm that up. We'll let you know. But what he's unearthed is some indications that a Tony Gravel, who is, I think actually we've got some video we can show you there of him, courtesy of the Bank of Canada's Instagram account. So doing the rounds.
He looks like a central banker.
He does look like he looks like a very or a successful deputy principal of a secondary school. But look, there he is, meeting with First Nations people in Canada and doing the rounds of farmers and that kind of stuff. So we're hearing that he may be in the mix, and that he may have crossed paths with Neil Quigley, who's the chair of the Reserve Bank Board, who has the responsibility for sort of pushing this process forward, and that he might be considered. Central bankers from Canada have got a pretty good rep. I mean...
well, one's the president now.
Yeah, or Prime
Minister, sorry.
And he was, before that, he was the governor of the Bank of England,
That's
which
right.
is no small place.
All right, so we'd do worse than this Canadian, you reckon?
Yeah, a couple of Kiwis in the mix, though. I think John McDermott, we're hearing from, who was a former Reserve Bank governor, Reserve Bank chief economist.
Yes.
And also Prasanna Guy, who's a professor of economics at Auckland and also on the Monetary Policy Committee. So, you know, other few little names.
Some options. Non-tariff barriers. This is according to the red meat exporters in New Zealand.
Yeah.
They reckon tariff barriers are creating a $1.5 billion hole in our export earnings.
Staggering, right? This is, I think, nearly 200 instances around the world where rules that may or may not be based on science are sort of being set up to put barriers in the way of imports. They're not like a strict quota, it's more like, hey, you've got to check this. And the classic example that's been cited is the EU's deforestation regulations, which have been pushed back a year. They were meant to come in last year. And they basically say you can't import stuff in here if it's come from land that's been cleared of native bush. Now, that doesn't really happen here in New Zealand for farming purposes, but the lengths they're having to go to with sort of aerial satellite mapping and matching that to cattle movements through a venture that Silver Fern Farms have got going with a tech company to prove that cows aren't eating grass that used to be where some coyote forest stood 5 minutes ago.
You're jumping through too many hoops.
Well, because New Zealand's got considered a low-risk country, yet we're having to meet the same standards as very high-risk countries. So there's a bit of pushback, I think, trade talks around that. But this is the kind of thing, I suppose, that they're trying to navigate and saying, hey, we need science to do this, we need to try and beat down the rules as well.